Okay, so right about the time last July when I was writing songs and stuff, I came up with some movie ideas, like some concepts for movies. And this is a movie I came up with. It's called Backup, and this is just the pitch. I never actually wrote the screenplay, but it's a pitch, and I actually pitched it to Martin Scorsese. I sent him the pitch, and it's loosely based on reality. And then my imagination kind of went wild, and I kind of wrote the rest. But I was being transported from Rogers and West Allis on July 12th of 2019 to Winnebago. And anyways, so here's the pitch for a summer blockbuster action movie. Meet Sherry, portrayed by Mila Jovovich, being transferred from an undisclosed psychiatric hospital in California to a military base in the Los Angeles area by LA cop Gary, portrayed by Ryan Gosling. When we meet Sherry, she is fierce, ninja-like, and has 4 male nurse bodyguards. Gary is professional and introduces himself along with 2 local police officers. He tells Sherry he has brought the presidential limo and allows her to cuff herself, which she does like a pro. Gary puts ankle jewelry on her, and she makes her way on tiptoes rapidly down long corridors and ankle cuffs, saying farewells to staff and things like, "They got me. They got Hannibal Lecter right here." And to Gary, "You got my fillet knife, pretty boy?" She sees the housekeepers and reminds them that the hairball of hers she told them to take from her garbage is worth $3 billion to the Smithsonian, and to use the money to start a hockey league for the housekeepers of the greater Los Angeles area. And they nod and say, "Will do, Sherry." When they reach Gary's police car outside, he tells her he is taking her to a military base when she asks where they are going. She doesn't like this. She says she wants to go home and spits in his face. She then climbs in the back of his squad car as one of the local cops tries to pull her out by her ankle cuffs. He realizes he is hurting her and she is not going anywhere, so he stops. Gary returns after cleaning his face and bags Sherry's, which she immediately removes when he gets in the car and starts the engine. Sherry buckles herself up and warns Gary, "You really did it now. You've got the Godfather in the back of your car and you ain't got no backup. You're surrounded. Watch out for Hondas, Subarus, and Kias." They start the hour-and-a-half journey on the LA freeway. Sherry is very vocal, saying a lot along the way, like, "Watch out for that Subaru. Watch out for that Subaru. Watch out for that Subaru." Gary is unresponsive. Sherry continues to speak and antagonize. "What do you like to do for fun, pretty boy? Knit? Knit sweaters for kittens? You know what I do with kittens? I juggle them. I juggle them and toss them into table saws. Then I bury them up to their heads in the ground and run them over with lawnmowers. I consider cats rodents." Gary remains unresponsive. "You got Down syndrome, pretty boy? You missing any chromosomes?" "I'll have your baby as long as you're not missing any chromosomes, pretty boy." Gary is stoic. "You don't speak much, do you, pretty boy?" "Strong silent type." "That's okay. I can do all the talking. I'm thirsty. Why don't you get off at the next exit so I can get a Diet Pepsi? Endorsement. Every time I say Diet Pepsi, I get $1 million. You know Kim Jong-un? Every time I say Tropicana, I get a nuclear weapon. He loves orange juice. I got 9 nukes. I can't own a gun, pretty boy, like you, because I'm NGI. But I've got 9 nukes, and I have hand grenades, RPGs, and rocket launchers, pretty boy. But hey, I don't need any of that because I got backup, but you don't. If you don't exit soon for that Diet Pepsi, ka-ching, you're going to catch a flat. You don't want to catch a flat on the LA freeway in the middle of rush hour when you ain't got no backup." "What time is it, pretty boy?" "What, 5:30? Gary responds. 5:30. "Yep." "So, you do speak. You're not a mute." They pull up to Zach, played by Chris Evans, on an orange crotch rocket. "There's my backup. Did you know that there are over 1 million people on the planet who have telekinesis? This guy can move a freight train halfway across the country with the power of his mind. Tell your mom in Wichita to get in the basement." Cut to a train being moved by Zach from LA to a modest farmhouse in Wichita, Kansas. "Don't worry. Gary's mom and her dogs are outside hanging in the wash and are safe from the destruction of her home. Hey, pretty boy. Looks like your backup just showed up. 3 cars back. Enter Marco, SWAT, portrayed by Dwayne Johnson, driving an armored vehicle. He begins taking out the mafia vehicles who are in hot pursuit of Sherry. Sherry's telekinetic backup shows up and assists Marco and Gary, and the mob is taken out. And Gary, Marco, Sherry, Zach, and the rest of the telekinetic people arrive at the military base and are greeted by the National Guard. Sherry and Gary part ways. She says, "Thanks, Gary. See you around." Sherry is then escorted inside the base by the military, and we then discover she is telekinetic herself when she springs her cuffs with the power of her mind. She is introduced to a kind nurse portrayed by Shelley Duvall, who later teaches her how to harness and control her powers to become the most powerful telekinetic person on Earth. Think Jean Grey of X-Men. Now the action really starts. The Taliban shows up, who also want Sherry. There is a 3-way battle between the National Guard, the telepathics, and the Taliban, all taking losses, especially the military. The Taliban is winning and is getting close to obtaining Sherry. Marco and Gary are also putting up a fight and protecting Sherry at all costs. Now for the real plot twist. Are you ready for this? Who saves the day and takes out the Taliban? The aliens, the predators of the sci-fi genre. Holy shit, right? As it ends, Zach busts Sherry out of the base and they hop a Greyhound to Mexico.